Brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Okay, so I will exercise brevity here. I have extremely generous and thoughtful in-laws. They do very well, though they are not, Ramsey principal people. And with that being said, a couple years ago, they opened whole life policies for all 4 of their children that they pay for and technically own. But when they gifted it at Christmas, they said, we opened these policies, but they're yours. If you want to cash it out, if you want to add to it, if you want to just let it sit, that's totally up to you.
Okay.
Flash forward 3 years later, now that we're married, because they gifted the policy when we were dating.
Oh, wow.
I would like to cash out the policy because my husband and I both have term insurance, so we're covered there on our own. I would like to cash it out and put it in a high yield, which the interest would probably cover what they're contributing every month anyway, which is $65.
Yeah.
But my husband doesn't want to be ungrateful or have a difficult conversation, and I don't know if my mindset should be like, you know what, technically brass tacks, they own the policy, it's their money, should it be out of sight, out of mind? Or should I push for this because it's what we follow in our marriage?
I mean, they said you could cash it out, right?
They did.
Who are the policies for right now? You said there's 4 of them?
They have 4 children, and they opened whole life policies on all 4 children. But the parents still own all the policies, and they're listed as the beneficiaries, not the wives.
Oh, that's interesting. So the policy's on him. Like it's
Correct.
So we're
his.
talking about one policy, and how much do they pay per month for this policy?
$65.
Okay.
And what's the cash value?
After the surrender charge, it would be about $11,400 at this point.
Okay. And you're saying, hey, we put that in a high yield, we're going to make the 65 back, and we don't need this policy. What if...
And it would be something, if it wasn't a high yield, that I would contribute to, where I'm not going to throw money into a whole life policy.
Into a terrible product with a terrible return.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, what is their intent at this point, paying for a grown man's whole life policy?
Well, I think I was trying to rack my brain about that too, and the only thing that crossed my mind is, are they trying to just set this up as a savings plan so all of their kids have money to pay inheritance tax when they go? So if there are expenses based on their inheritance, they already know that they've helped put aside money to cover that.
How wealthy are these people? Because inheritance tax is not going to kick in unless we're talking like $20 million.
Yeah, they're very wealthy.
Okay.
I don't know if I'd touch this.
I don't know that $65 a month is going to also pay for any meaningful taxes, if we're going to be honest.
Right.
There's part of me, just listening to you talk, I don't know if I'd touch this because this was it was in place A before you guys were married. It's their money that they're spending, and the fact that you are not the beneficiary kind of lets me know that this is just something that they're doing. It doesn't really make sense to me, but who cares? It's not. I would tend to not try to control this. It's almost like my mother-in-law has a 529 set up for the kids, and that was something she did. I'm happy she did it, and she put some in it, and we put some in it too. I could try to be like, oh no, I want to do this state's 529, and I want to change it, but I'm like, this is something nice she's doing, and she did it for the state of Florida because that's the state you're in, and that's fine. I'm just grateful for it, and it's still some money that I wouldn't have had before. So I'm like, okay, great. And I'm not going to touch it because if I think that it's going to stir up a hornet's nest, which in this case for me, it probably wouldn't. But if you sense that at all, or seriously, it sounds like your husband maybe does, I'd be like, okay, great. Thank you. And just probably move on.
So more so the first, like out of sight, out of mind, like pretend it's not even a thing.
I mean, that's me. I don't know, George, would you be different?
It's not hurting you right now. Obviously, you feel like there's a better use of this money. And your husband is going, hey, they're just doing a generous thing. We're not having to pay for this. They're not taking debt out in our name. This is just one way they want to give to the kids. They are free to do that. And so I don't think this is on fire. If you never see this money, you're going to be okay. So whether they put it here, I mean, you could talk to your husband and say, hey, what if they put that 65 in a investment account that one day we then get to use as an inheritance to pay the taxes, whatever. Are there better ways to go about this from a wealth strategy perspective?
Yes.
It's
hard to tell people how to give to you.
Especially with this relationship where it's like it's in your husband's name and it's a thing his parents did and now you're trying to get in the middle of it. I feel like there's more harm than
I
good.
think the only reason it crossed my mind is because of in the way it was given. You guys can do what you want with this, So I was like,
Yeah.
well, do we want to do what we want with
Are they
it,
the type
or
of
do we
people
just
to
wanna
get
do things
upset if you did cash it out?
I don't think so. I think that they may not agree, but I don't think that they're going to be upset.
Listen, I would not want to be the one. It'd be different if you're.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a lady in the audience right now. She's going, "Don't do it.
Don't mess
do
with
it."
the in-laws
Okay.
over $65 a month
It
that
would
you're
be
not
one
paying.
thing if your husband was like, "Dude, I was just looking at this whole life policy my parents have on me. Like, this is whack. I'm gonna go tell him, da 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 da." And then you could be like, "Yes, honey, you go do that." But the fact that even he is like, I don't want to come across ungrateful. That for me tells an underlying dynamic that even maybe you don't fully know is there.
Yeah.
Which is, don't touch it. I get it though.
Yeah. And Thanksgiving dinner's coming up. We don't want that to
Yes,
taste good.
ma'am. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like, don't mess with the whole life policy. Don't mess with the
I would
macaroni
not
and
bring it
cheese.
up. But I am proud of you guys for getting term life in place and having a much better policy in place there. I think that was the move to do. And if you were in a different situation, I'd say, hey, get term life and then go ahead and cancel the whole life. Pay the surrender charge and cash it out.
All right. Well, I'll stop stressing about this. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I think it's not worth your peace of mind over
As long as-
$65 a month that you're not paying.
As long as they have the right insurance
Yeah.
in place for them, this is just something that someone did.
Especially
and-
at their level of wealth.
Yeah.
Their in-laws clearly aren't broke. They're not spending money they don't have to fund this thing.
Sure.
It's like my in-laws buying me a biscuit, even though I'm gluten-free. And I go, hey, thanks for the biscuit. I actually don't eat gluten. And they go, no, we want to buy you a biscuit.
And then when you're
Fine.
not looking, they're not looking, you kind of you give it to
Feed
the
it
dog.
feed it to the dogs. My little French bulldog is very overweight. She doesn't need that.
Oh yeah,
Trying to slim her down.
sorry.
That's a good message, though, for all of you out there who don't have term life in place. Let this be your wake-up call. You need it 10 to 12 times your annual income on the policy, and you can get a 15-year term, 20-year term, 25-year term. Here's why you don't need insurance for your whole life. Once you follow the Ramsey plan for 15 or 20 years, you're going to be what's called self-insured. You have a paid-for home. You have sizable nest egg that will cover your family in case something happened to you to replace your income.
Not to mention, you don't need an insurance policy that's going to, quote, invest for you. You can do your own investing.
Yes, combining investing and insurance is a terrible, terrible idea with terrible returns. And all it does is line the pockets of these whole life insurance salesmen that they pose as wealth strategists because they go, well, this is actually an investment strategy the wealthy use. Don't buy it. So if you want to get term life in place, the only one we've ever recommended at Ramsey, go to Xander.com. Our friends there will take care of you. They've taken care of my family for years.
Yep, that's
Jay's
what I
family.
use.
You can also go call 800-356-4282 to get that plan in place. And man, the peace of mind is worth it. The policy is a fraction of the cost of whole life, and you'll sleep better for it.
Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life.